I have a connection, so I'll wait a second to make sure and see if anyone is on or cares to listen. We're going to talk more about what in the world is going on. Part two, continuation of that brief talk this morning about the sightings that have been happening. Not just sightings, all the events that have been taking place recently, this past week. So I'm gonna hold off. Nobody's listening right now. Not that I expect anybody to ever listen, but it's always better when you're not just talking to yourself, as I do that on a regular basis anyway. Well, maybe we'll throw a couple invites out and see if anybody wants to come on and maybe chat about this as well, because I'm always willing to have insight from others, and perhaps not just an echo chamber, but maybe someone else has some ideas to contribute that I haven't thought of. That's always a nice thing, to have a soundboard and see if we're on the same page, or if we can come together on the same page. So we'll throw a couple more invites here and see if anybody wants to say hello before I ramble on like I always do. And we'll just hit a couple more. There we go. Okay. And that's probably... I'm bugging enough people now. I will stop. Okay. There we go. So, there has been a lot of unidentified flying objects, anomalies in the sky, as I stated before, and many of you I'm sure have seen the cloud formations that don't look like anything that we've seen with our own eyes or videotaped in our lifetimes. I'm not talking about the aerosolized injections, chemtrails. Obviously, those are different than clouds, and that's not normal, but normalized. So we know of that. That's just their plan, multi-headed plan. My voice isn't matching up with my mouth. Maybe I'm talking too fast. I'm not sure. Maybe if I move this around a little bit, I'll get a little bit better reception. I'm not sure. You guys tell me if you can hear me or not. I'm not that attuned when it comes to the technology anymore. So, as I was saying, these anomalies that are happening, people in my comments this morning when I had brought it up, some people said that these events are a distraction, and that's true. Of course, it's a distraction as well as the intended purpose, which is unknown to all of us, supposedly, at the moment. But distraction, of course. So sometimes if I don't mention something, it doesn't mean I'm not including that. It just... these things take a long time to dismantle, and that's why it's better to have a conversation with someone, because someone could have brought that up and then I could have spoke on my thoughts on that topic. But to the people who said, no, these weather balloons and these anomalies in the sky is just a distraction so we don't pay attention to the Epstein files that, or the Epstein case and files that are supposed to be released, or that are being released. Absolutely. It is a distraction to not pay attention to that and all pertinent information that has to do with our lives and what's going on in the world. They do that on a daily basis. So it can be 2 or 3 or 4 things. It could be a multi-headed front. So the distraction part, absolutely. But that's not their main purpose for this. I believe, in my heart of hearts, everybody on my side of the fence of thinking, and that means generally freedom people. I don't mean who agree with me on everything, but people who are for the Canadian Bill of Rights or for not having mandates. You people, I think can easily take the mental step that, yeah, it's a distraction, but since when does society need UFOs, anomalies, things that can't be explained to be distracted? We don't. We need a Kardashian on the TV or a Miley Cyrus. I mean, we need so little for our little goldfish memory brains to be distracted. They don't need to do these things. They can and are, and it will distract us. But it's not the reason. They're not using these balloons and UFOs as a distraction from whatever topics. That's just a byproduct, a great byproduct that they want. Similar to someone might think that certain little treats are to kill people, and that may or may not be true. But my point here is, if it weakens people, degrades their life to the point where they don't focus on politics and they just focus on getting out of bed, getting to work, because, you know, things are more of a struggle, that's a win for the bad guys too. So it can serve multiple purposes, is my point. So, is it a distraction? Yes. But since this morning, when there was a fourth UFO over Montana, as some of you may know, I've been busy throughout the day. We had church today and baptism, which was great, an amazing day, great people. But during that time, I guess I haven't heard anything about this UFO over Montana that was in the dark, that they're waiting for sunlight to do anything about. Now they have shot down a fourth UFO over Lake Ontario, I believe. So we know the one that was shot over Alaska was not round. According to the official story, it was the size of a small vehicle. I don't trust anything that has the word official story anyway. You know, they know nothing, but they shot something down. They don't know what they shot down, and they know roughly the size. But we'll never know. We'll never know unless they want to tell us, and what they tell us is probably bullshit anyway. So it doesn't matter. We don't need to believe what they tell us. But as long as there was something shot down, I do believe there was this latest one shot down, because I heard reports before it actually happened that from people in military that this was going on, something being chased over the waters of Lake Ontario, and then it officially became public about an hour or so later. So I do believe it, and there'll be videos, I'm sure, at some point from somebody. And then we'll have to check if they're real or not, of course. But there's something going on, obviously. And, you know, weather balloon aside, or not weather balloon, spy balloon. It's definitely not a weather balloon, the Chinese one. It's meant for research purposes, to figure out where to drop a EMP blast to knock out the power. There's many, many, many different scenarios and rationales of what some of these objects are, and the others that are cylindrical in shape, supposedly. And I've seen the one in Alaska was a cylinder, a cigar-shaped kind of. We've seen, I'm sure, videos before of objects with that shape. I don't believe, as I stated before, that any of these are extraterrestrials from another planet. I believe these are all Earth-bound vehicles or objects, and they're being utilized, implemented right now as that distraction, but we're about to find out what they're going to use these for. I don't, like I said before, I don't think they're going to play the card yet of alien invasion. That is in the official government handbook, we'll call it, as what they will utilize as a control mechanism for the New World Order. Climate, first it was injections, we know that. Climate change, we're in that model right now, and that depending on its success in the public forum, and depending on what countries, right, Eastern, Western, there's many politics at play when it comes to that. We see that with Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America, just the different levels of lockdowns and science, different complete levels of science depending on the geographical location you live in. So there's going to be something major, in my opinion, that's going to happen very soon. And I don't see them utilizing this method of distraction unless they were planning on creating a false flag or a real event. And a false flag is a real event. It's just not the storyline that they're telling us. Of course, I hope it's not a democidal event. Democide meaning our own government, one's own government committing the atrocity. Most people call that genocide. Either way, I hope it's none of that, but I wouldn't put it past our government. After all, our government doesn't make its own decisions. We follow these unelected bodies like the WEF and the UN. So we have puppets in positions of power, and well, we're going to see how this plays out, because it's still winter, and if something happens, an EMP blast from a balloon, and that's the best case scenario of what's going on with these anomalies. There's strange phenomenon in the skies, lights, whether it's from, above clouds and you see cities lit up in blue, or depending on what the light refraction is in the sky, but it's very odd and peculiar and definitely not normal. But we're seeing these almost on a daily basis global. There's droughts, the Euphrates River is dried up. There's many biblical signs that are coming to fruition right now. And again, there are people probably listening going, yep, that's true. And there's probably a few of you going, oh God, here he goes again, biblical. You don't have to agree, and I don't expect everybody to go on board with my train of thought. I believe one day everybody will, but I don't expect that to be today. Like I've said before, we're all allies. It's just a matter of when you choose that choice, before death or after. It's much better before. But there's so many biblical things taking place. And again, that's a fact. There are biblical events written that would happen, that have happened and are currently happening. That's indisputable. So going off of that I don't think anybody can dispute. You can't say that if you're a Wokey and you agree with all the man-made climate change, then yeah, the river's drying up because it's filling water levels high somewhere else and flooding people out. The world is changing. So these events are taking place. Whether it's manufactured by our controllers thinking we're believing in that, so they're manufacturing these biblical events to take place so we are more scared, depending on what side of the fence you are, believing in God or not. But they can play both sides with that. Either way, whether it's manufactured or unexplainable, happening all on its own, biblically, it's happening. So it doesn't really matter what side of the fence you choose to pick. These events are taking place, and this is happening now, and more events are going to continue to happen. I've been hearing for the past couple months, and it's confirmed, at least for a month now, that in the state of Israel, the Jewish state of Israel, they have announced officially the Messiah, the Jewish Messiah, They're spreading around. There's signs posted up everywhere. They're walking about the gentleman. I can't remember his name, nor do I care, because it's a false Messiah. And this is someone who is Jewish by birthright, Christian now, to be a forthright, a Messianic Jew. So that's what I am. So anyway, someone can't hear me. Turn up your volume. Can everybody else hear me? No sound, eh? Is it no sound? Okay, there is sound, Diana. It's just you. So they're displaying a Messiah, and for people who aren't believers in Jesus or followers of God, whether it be the Quran, Buddha, regardless, if you're calling that the Messiah is here and pointing to a human, a person here on earth, well, it's one of two things. The Messiah is either here, or it's a false prophet. It's a lie. It's deception. And I don't believe I'm being committing blasphemy at all by stating that I know for a fact that that gentleman in Israel is not the Messiah. He may be very intelligent. He may be gifted. He may be a genius. He could memorize the Torah at a very young age, front to back, and very prophetic, very wise for his age. Supposedly he'll be performing miracles, or has already performed some spectacle miracle, which is written in the Bible and Torah. Again, the controllers also know these religious texts, so they could be utilizing these, and in a lot of cases they definitely are. There's something in the Torah about there's certain events that will take place before, and that we will know the Messiah, the Jewish Messiah, the Messiah for everyone, is coming. And one of them was about 3 red calves being delivered or brought to Israel. And a few months back, maybe a little longer, 6 months ago maybe, 3 red calves were brought into the holy place in Israel, set to be slaughtered in the kosher way. And if that is done, that is one of the main markers that this is the Messiah. Now, if I had all the money in the world, or some of the money, the majority of the money, if I was one of the elite powers that be, and I wanted people to believe something, and I could, I mean, if someone said, when 3 calves enter this area, and yeah, there might be a law that you can't transfer beef, you know, how weird these weird red tape laws work. Well, if I was a leader of a country, or a rich Saudi prince, or pick anyone of the elite status of a multinational corporation / governmental combination, I could thwart those laws and, you know, fly in on my own jet. Bad example. Bring in on my own ship, so I could skip some of the import-export handlers and law, and bring in 3 red calves. And even though a law might say you can't kill animals in this area, well, if I paid somebody enough and they did it, then it's done. And you could then claim, look, only a prophet, because it says it in the book, and look, it happened. And there'll be people that will believe and follow that. I know for a fact that this guy is not the Messiah, because we all know that right now, the promised land of Israel is a corrupt cesspool like Sodom and Gomorrah. They are, I don't even know what they're on. I have no idea. They're at least on number 5 now, guaranteed that their citizens and anyone who enters has to be jabbed. Excuse me. It's a continual requirement, and they push the digital ID. I mean, one of the front runners, besides Australia is Israel on the digital ID and everything that is Satanistic. So how can the biblical Messiah that the Jews claim is here now be here in collaboration with the very people who are oppressing all of Israel and its people and visitors? And some might say other people Israel is oppressing. That's a conversation for another time. So, there's so many things at play right now, but it is guaranteed we are definitely in exciting times, and things are about to kick off globally, especially in the Western world. I don't know what that is. I don't know what it looks like, but all I can say is everybody. And I'm when I point the finger at you, I'm pointing 3 back at me. We all need to get right with God. Even the ones who roll your eyes at me when I say that. I understand many people are spiritual. They believe in karma, the universe. That I'm not poo-pooing on that at all. I promise you. When I say these things, I'm not coming at it from a judgmental way, but I've thought this for a while, and I've touched upon it on speeches at rallies and protests, but I think about this on a daily basis, and I hope some of you, if not all, can trust me when I tell you, if you do not have the strength of God inside of you going forward, if you are relying on your own morality, your own inner strength to combat what's here and what's coming, you'll fail. You will fail. And again, I'm not trying to poo-poo on your will, on your own morals, because I thought the same thing for a long time too. That I was raised right. I have a decent moral standard, moral code. I can fight whatever battle it is and have the inner strength. And I'm not saying you or myself or anyone out there is weak, but there's a certain strength you just cannot achieve without the Lord, without our Creator. You might call our Creator the universe right now, but in time, and it might take many, many, many years, you'll understand that there is a Creator to that universe. Some might believe in almighty aliens. Well, someone created those aliens or those clones, whatever, that are out there. There is a Creator. And we all need to have that strength, because they're going to turn the screws on all of us, and they're going to implement measures that affect our individual hearts and souls. There's a reason why there's people out there upset that got the candy. That at the time, they say they wanted it. We know they were coerced, but they wanted to travel. They wanted something. So they got that in order to get the thing they wanted. And that's exactly the thought process what'll happen to you if you don't believe in our Creator, in the Lord, because at some point, whether it's through coercion, an offering, get a free trip to Cuba, bad example, get a free trip to Jamaica, just take the candy, or do this, recycle like this for the climate. You can substitute any algorithm of thought process into that, because everybody has something they want. And if you don't believe in God, in our Creator, then one will rationalize at some point when things get really hard, and maybe not at first. Again, willpower, I'm not saying you don't have it. You can use that willpower and you can fight. But when the waves keep coming, when they keep crashing over you, you want to reach your hand out for help. And there is no king of earth that's going to reach their hand out to help you and want nothing back in return. But there is a creator who, if you put all your faith, trust, and love in, then that can pull you through any situation. I know this for a fact. And I know that we're going to have to implement this going forward. So when there's rolling blackouts, and that's on a good case scenario, rolling blackouts. When there's a social credit score or a 15-minute city and they're whittling down the parking spots, and you start rationalizing in your head why you want to choose an electric car because, well, I'll get to park because fuel cars won't be allowed to park like at the mall because you got to reserve spots, all the things that are implemented in these plans to incentivize you to make the choice they want, the one they call the right decision, the one they call the morally correct one. So right now, you might be thinking, not me. I wouldn't do that. But as life gets tougher, as you have to make more sacrifices, no fault of your own, but as you do that, that's when the human mind may weaken on its own. And you may need to make a choice for yourself to not have that electric vehicle out of convenience, so then you can still go to the mall within your 15-minute block and not have to walk because you're not ready to make that choice to walk yet. They are going to turn the screws in all sorts of ways on our individual vices, and that is where we need to rely on a higher strength so we don't allow them to turn the screws that they're going to implement. You heard Buddy there from the UN 2 years ago when they started talking about all the lockdowns and how we may have to, and they set the law up already. The UN and our country of pansy leaders follows the UN and the WF, but they said in their own words, we will come into your house and have to remove family members, but don't worry, in a dignified manner. They're talking about removing you from your children or your children from you. But don't worry, it's in a dignified, safe way. What does that mean? Is it trustable anymore? If most people in our governments don't believe in God, then what is safe and dignified? Who defines that? What are definitions now when they're literally being changed? Well, safe means putting a mask on you and keeping you 6 feet apart or keeping you isolated in a cell. Well, that's not my definition of safe. So there's a lot that we need to rely on our Creator for going forward. And again, I'm not trying to preach to you, and I'm definitely not holier than thou. There's many, 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 many things in my closet I need to clean up and become better, a better human being for my daughter, for my family, and for all of you. And I work on it on a daily basis. I at least try. And that's what we're all going to have to do going forward, because these anomalies, they're only going to step up because they're trying to shape your mind while utilizing all these other methodologies through shots, through the food, through the water, through the air, through the soil, to dumb us down, to make us more docile, to make us more accepting of their plan. And it's unfortunate, but we have to be more vigilant. We have to make more sacrifices for ourselves and our family. Diane, no, you don't have to be perfect to proclaim the Lord. I'm definitely not perfect. In fact, it's impossible to be perfect. That was the entire reason that Jesus sacrificed himself for our sins. We are sinful by nature, by birth. But recognizing, repenting for the sins, and we can have a whole discussion about that. When people say repent, that doesn't mean say you're sorry and I gotcha. I said sorry, you forgave me, you sucker. That is a whole nother sin right there. And again, only the person and God knows if you're being honest, truthfully. And every one of us will have to answer for that one day. Whether you believe it or not, we're all going to have to answer for that. So when I say that I'm not perfect, I'm not even on the measuring stick coming close to perfect. Nobody is. But if we try every day to be better, to recognize the mistakes we make, to recognize the people we may have hurt, whether by accident or on purpose, and making it right. And that doesn't mean saying sorry. I mean, you can say sorry. You should say sorry if that's what you feel. And that's the point, is we need to have our words line up with our thoughts and our heart. Not like the lefties, where they say things because they know it's what you want to hear and they can pull one over on you. And, a lot of people on our side of the fence do that too. But having that total belief and knowledge in the Lord, it holds you accountable. It helps hold you accountable to yourself, because there's somebody watching, listening at all times. And if you lie to somebody, if you slight someone, if you steal from someone, well, God knows. And even before I was in that position, I knew. I knew when I did something wrong or said something wrong to someone. It would rack in my brain over and over again. And I don't like that feeling. And no one should. You should feel bad for the things you do if it's not right. And you should repent for it, whatever that means to you. And then make it right. Do good deeds. People who slight you, as hard as it is, give more to them. Show those people love. Show them that there's a better way than the anger that they exude. And that might, in time, help change hearts. Maybe not minds, but it might help change hearts. See you, Diana. I have to go in a minute too. After all, it's about to be bedtime for my daughter, and I have to help get her ready. Ashley's doing bath time right now, so I could be here speaking with you guys. Sandra, so nice to see you. It's been a while, and I haven't been on here since, I believe, before my father's passing. And, there was a lot of reasons, and I'm going to make a video directed solely at that. In fact, on YouTube, on my channel, which I never really post to, but at InfoWarsCanada.com, at some point I will, and I have a video already set to make that I did over a month ago regarding a relationship, between father and son. And a lot of things have happened, and I didn't make any video because I wasn't sure of my emotional state and how I would be discussing the passing of my father and everything else that had happened, because it's not fair to you guys, as I've stated in my speeches before. The passing of a parent or of a loved one is something that everybody goes through. You guys have already gone through that, most likely once or twice already, and if not, you will as well. I'm no different or special in that, and I didn't really want to come on and make a video harping about my issues or my problems. It's not really what I come on here to talk about. We all have to deal with the loss of loved ones, and we know that in these times there's going to be a lot more of this. And I knew this was going to happen. I tried to change the outcome of some of this, but it still doesn't change the sting that happens. But losing a parent, as some of you already know, helps give you a lot of perspective. Hi, Nova. Good to see you as well. It gives you a lot of perspective in life, and it kind of gives you a little jumpstart of wisdom when a parent passes on. And even though my dad, both my parents, were not in agreement on pretty much anything I had to say or think. Thank you, Melissa. Even though we didn't see eye to eye, and I couldn't even really have conversations about anything because everything that I would talk about seemed to upset them. But As I've stated to some of you who are on here who have been at the Great Canadian Flag and rallies, have heard me say it before, you are my ally, and you will be my ally. As someone spits in my face or swears, and you have two choices in life, and that is to become my ally through the things that you feel and see in life that happen. You'll choose to become my ally, or you'll die first, and then you become my ally, because your energy will be somewhere where you'll have more knowledge than what you have now. You'll be able to see things and understand things you weren't willing to understand or see while you're here on this planet. So I'll go more into this in a video dedicated to this, but this is my father. This was my father. And now, even though he loved me and probably didn't like me very much, my dad is now my ally. And he'll be there with me regardless of where I go and what I do. Just one second. I'm getting called in. So, that also helps with the belief in God, because I know my dad is in a better place, and I know he can see the works that I have done, and maybe, I hope, his opinion is slightly or greatly changed on me, and I hope he's proud of me now. There's a lot of other family issues that have happened over the last month since that took place, but again, this isn't the forum for that. Hey, Elmer. I was glad to see you today, too. Thank you. Today was a great day, but that's not the point of this video. It's just what in the world is going on. And again, hold on to your britches, because the corruption is at the peak. The false flags are ready to fly. You have what's going on over for a while now in Russia, Ukraine, and that may kick off to something bigger. And if it does, there's not going to be much reaction time when it comes to that. Either way, we are literally in the most exciting times known to current civilization right now. Right now and going forward. So remember, your soul's going to be in the history books in a matter of what side do you want it to be on. Do you want to give in because you weren't strong enough and you got coerced, and your name will be written in the annals of time on the wrong side? Or do you want to charge up your heart and soul and figure out how to combat and defeat the enemy without destroying yourself? Anyway, that's enough rambling for me tonight. I hope everyone is good, happy, and healthy at home. And, hey, Heidi. Good to see you. It's my sister. So I wish you got to see earlier, but I'm about to cut off because we got to put our child to bed. But everybody, keep your eyes in the skies and not always on your phone, because looking up always contains more answers than looking down. Till next time, love you.